Good morning and welcome to the Sunday Morning Sports Podcast. It is like the debate show times two this morning because our good friend and co-anchor here, Keith Engel, is doing his thing, retiring in style. So he will not be with us this morning. But anyway, got plenty of sports news to catch up with, and of course, the Super Bowl is next weekend, so we'll get to that next weekend. Really, there's not too much NFL news going on at the moment as a priority, but we do have some breaking news. Jack had mentioned it this morning before we came on about the Australian Open. Jack, what's going on with the Australian Open?
Yeah, other sports take advantage and in a way wisely the week before the Super Bowl because everyone takes a little break away from football after the AFC NFC championship games and then they get geared up again the week of the Super Bowl. But last night was the finals of the Australian Open and it just came in this morning because of the time factor here on the East Coast or West Coast, anywhere else in the United States. Carlos Alcaraz completed the Grand Slam. He beat Novak Djokovic, who was in pursuit of his 25th major title. And when we say major titles, for those who don't know, it's the Australian Open, the French Open, the US Open, and Wimbledon. They have four big events, and those comprise Grand Slam titles. There are other tournaments that are important for the time being, but they're not historical. When people judge a tennis player's career, they kind of judge the amount of Grand Slams. And Alcaraz, I don't want to say the new big name in tennis, but he's the number one guy right now. And he seems destined to go on the type of run that Djokovic, Nadal, and Federer did going forward. And Djokovic did win the first set decisively, 6-2, but he ultimately lost in four sets. And Djokovic was a little lucky this year even to get to the finals because in an earlier match, his opponent basically had him beaten, but then had to retire because, of a leg injury during the match. And even Djokovic admitted he was far behind. He was going to lose that match. He very graciously said that. But Djokovic now is at a point where he's very, very good, but someone has just passed him by a little bit. On a given day, he can still win a major tournament, but it didn't happen yesterday.
Oh, awesome.
Last night, I should say, this morning. It's just losing those. Yeah.
Well, in Australia,
because of where they are, yeah.
This morning.
Yeah, it's already tomorrow, yeah, in Australia, basically. They're always 12. Well, it's almost tomorrow. So,
like you said, Jack, he won the first set, but man, he was dominated the other two. I mean, he gave a good fight the last set, but man, that kid took it to him the rest of the match.
Well, tennis is a strange game. You're never supposed to tank it in sports, but tennis players, and you never hear this, actually tank it. They throw games, and it's not as bad as it sounds. If you're losing 5-1, do you really want to play your best tennis to crawl back, make it 5-4, and then ultimately lose it? When you lose 6 games, unless it's a tiebreaker, you've lost the set. Do you really want to give it all you have? Sometimes they fall down, to a certain point where they know they're not going to come back and win the set. So they kind of pack it in at the end. Don't play their hardest. I'll give you the best comparison. It's like a team allowing another team to get a touchdown to have some time on the clock. I mean, if the team on offense is going to fall down with the ball, you're going to touch them, of course, and the clock's going to continue. But you're basically allowing them to score. It's kind of like part of a strategy. And I'm not saying that happened in the first set, that Djokovic won 6-2, but maybe Alcaraz was just kind of priming himself for the next set.
And Djokovic is the last of the great three, man. I mean, Federer, Nadal. I mean, he's still there, but you can tell that it's almost time. Like you said, that other match, he knew he probably would have lost that one if it wasn't by default by an injury.
Yeah, it's an interesting thing, James. have we ever had a big three at their peak like that in any other sports? Djokovic, Nadal, and Federer. You look at football position-wise. You have Brady and Manning. You look at two guys. NBA. Did you ever have three guys who really were at the top of their game like that? I mean, we had in the old days Chamberlain and Russell, but of course, there were other great players like the big Oscar Robertson, but was there ever actually a debate of a big three in any other sport that was so closely packed together? Maybe football, Montana, Marino, and Elway to an extent. I don't know.
Maybe. I would say I was gonna say Magic Johnson, Michael Jordan, and Isaiah Thomas. I know you don't like to give me credit.
Did anyone in their right mind think Isaiah Thomas was as good as Michael Jordan at their best? Really, no disrespect. You could call Isaiah Thomas one of the 20 greatest players of all time. That would be fine. Come on, this is the acid test I want to give you, James. And you could give me an answer the way Mac would have did a politically correct answer, even though Mac wasn't always politically correct. I got to give him his due there. If there was a GM, every single GM in the league, and they were both 22 years old. They had their whole career ahead of them. And they had a choice, Michael Jordan or Isaiah Thomas, or even Magic Johnson, but let's throw him in there. Is there one GM who would actually pick Magic Johnson or Isaiah Thomas over Michael Jordan? One GM. And you might get a clown in there. You always get a clown.
There was a clown that took Sam Bowie over Michael Jordan.
If they hadn't played yet, I don't want knowing what they've accomplished. I'm not saying they're coming out of college. Coming out of college, that's another matter. Isaiah and Magic were great players coming out of college. The majority of GMs may have picked them over Michael Jordan for we know coming out of college. I'm talking about knowing what they became, and they have a chance to do it over again, and what potential they have going forward to repeat their careers. Come on.
No, of course you're going to take Michael Jordan if you put me into that type of situation. But you take it.
I didn't ask you. I said if there were every single GM in the league, is there one who would take Magic Johnson or Isaiah Thomas, knowing the type of players that they are?
Yes, because everybody doesn't need Michael Jordan. Everybody doesn't need a guy that takes the ball over and takes over the game. Everybody needs Magic Johnson. These are different positions. We're talking about 2 point guards. Now, if you're asking me, they would get fired immediately.
If you already got
somebody that could play your role, I mean, let's look. We're talking about how teams play. We're talking about how, let's look at how the Pistons played. They couldn't have Michael Jordan in that place of Isaiah right there. It'd be a totally different schematic system. It wouldn't be the same system that they had. That wouldn't be a Chuck Daly system if he had Michael Jordan.
They would readjust the system, and the Pistons would have won 4 or 5 NBA championships instead of 2.
Well, they damn near won 4 or 5 championships.
Yes,
yeah, but they
without a Jordan. Okay, we can agree to disagree on that. I'm not going to say that.
It's a dead heat as far as who's better. Michael Jordan, Magic Johnson, Isaiah Thomas.
No, I would say he's the best. I'm not going to dispute that at all. Michael Jordan is, for me, undisputed of those 3 players, is the best player. But for what you're asking me about a GM taking a player, that's different because everybody doesn't need a Michael Jordan on their team.
Red Auerbach loved Bill Russell, won 11 championships with Bill Russell. And he was asked if he had a choice to draft one of them, knowing what they were, knowing what Michael Jordan became and Bill Russell. He said, well, he's not sure he would have taken Bill Russell because you have to consider the economics of the game too. Like the amount of people you're putting in the stands, and Michael Jordan, the amount of people he would have put in the stands. Listen, any team that wins, you could always say, the players you have are better fit. You can always say that, I mean, all the time.
Look at that. We got debate show number 2 on here. And speaking of fights, we had one last night between and forgive me if I butcher the name, Jack. Teofimo Lopez Jr. versus Shakur Stevenson. Last night, Shakur Stevenson came away with a unanimous decision. All 3 judges recorded a 119-109 score. Stevenson, he remained undefeated, owning a 25-0 record with 11 knockouts. He wins the WBO junior welterweight title and becomes a 4-division championship. He did that all in Madison Square Gardens. What was your thoughts on that fight there, Jack? Did you get
my thoughts are, I mean, I'm looking forward to the game the week after the Super Bowl where the Philadelphia Eagles and Buffalo Bills meet for the vacant NFL championship. I mean, no need to mention the nonsense with the WBO 4-belt championship. Come on,
it's part of the fight.
It's all nonsense. The fight itself is a great fight based on merit, and Lopez really was the legitimate WBO super lightweight or junior welterweight, whatever term you want to use, champion. But there are all these different sanctioning bodies, and I don't care to really embellish it too much. It's okay. I don't mean to put you down there, Brian. You're doing your job the way you should be doing it, exactly 100%. But it's I don't want to hear 4-belt champ. There's this former fighter, Adrian Broner, who was something like a 4-time champion with the belt holders, and it would be ludicrous to put him in the Hall of Fame, but he might wind up there someday for all we know. But last night was one of the great fights that could be made in boxing. Both guys 28 years old. They were both said to be in their prime. Certainly Shakur Stevenson showed he was. Teofimo Lopez, I'm not saying he was a little long in the tooth, but sometimes when you're young, you turn in certain great performances and you're never quite as good again, even though you're very good. We've seen it in other sports. Someone at the age of 23, 24 might do the most phenomenal things. And when they're 28, 29, they're still good. They're still very good. But are they quite as sensational? Maybe you guys could think of examples at some point, the guys who are still young, who just lost a tiny bit off their fastball. But Stevenson turned in a masterful performance. And I mean, he's this era's Floyd Mayweather, Pernell Whitaker, best way to put it. He's on that level, and he dominated throughout. And it wasn't that Lopez was bad. It was just Shakur Stevenson was absolutely masterful, and he's not going to get beaten for years and years. I mean, and it depends when he retires at some point. But there's no one on the horizon, no one right now, no one on the horizon who really would have a serious chance of defeating him going forward. In the ring afterwards, Conor Benn, decent fighter from England, was getting into it with Stevenson. Conor Benn's not in Stevenson's league even. I mean, he's not going to put a glove on him. So for all the hype and the talk, they're trying to create a fight for Stevenson that would have some profile, give him a good payday, give Conor Benn a good payday. But, like the debate we were having like a little while ago, the fun debate with the players, is anyone in their right mind going to think that Conor Benn's actually going to go out and beat Shakur Stevenson? I mean, it's not happening and not even coming close to happening.
That leads to, well, I was going to say, sorry, Brian, that's going to lead to another question from me towards you, Jack. Like we just mentioned, can you name a collection of great players that are, dominant at the same time? Is that, my question to you is, do you have that in boxing right now? Do you have that, like when you had a Hagler, a Hearns, and a Sugar Ray Leonard? Do you have that in boxing right now, where there's a collection of boxers that are just like really good at what they do right now, and you?
Shakur Stevenson is on that level. The problem is those guys are exciting to watch. I mean, Shakur Stevenson's not exciting to watch. He's a shutdown player. I like to have an analogy, like comparing it to other sports. Shakur Stevenson is kind of like your shutdown closer in baseball. He comes in, and you just don't hit him, and he gets to say, he's so hard to penetrate. In the other sports, there's a certain amount of failure, like in baseball. No matter how great a reliever Mariano Rivera was, he sometimes, he failed now and then. Any reliever, the greatest hitters, the majority of the time, make out. But Shakur Stevenson, he hardly ever uses a round. But he's not exciting the way he fights. He just shuts an opponent down. Sugar Ray Leonard was exciting. Floyd Mayweather wasn't exciting at all. But Floyd Mayweather created like a persona. That would be the thing about him, in his image. So he created that marketability. And fans don't think. I mean, they don't think. They could be given the most boring fight, but they'll be back for more from the same guy. And they'll complain. Like after the Mayweather-Pacquiao fight, fans complain, what a ripoff. But, but if they fought again, even as old men, at least half those people who complain are going to be back getting the pay-per-view. And so as long as Shakur Stevenson wins, creates an image, he's going to be fine. But last night he was great, sold out crowd at Madison Square Garden. It was his coming out party as one of the top pound-for-pound fighters in the world.
On that note, going to some switching over to some NBA news. One of the big things that came out during this last couple of days is NBA suspends Paul George 25 games for violating league's anti-drug policy. That's going to put a damper on that team.
Well, I got to ask James, would you think Paul George, of all people, would have gotten that type of suspension? We talked about image a little while ago.
So I was listening to the panel with Charles Barkley and Kenny and Shaq regarding that. There's a debate about something being funny regarding what type of banned substance he was taking, because you're not given 25 games if there's something for mental health. If there's something for mental health, like Charles Barkley said, it's probably something. Even if it is a banned substance, they understand that they're going to give you a hall pass on that. That's what Charles Barkley said. And I kind of agree with that, because they, we understand mental health is taken a lot more seriously in this age, and it's not a stigma anymore. And it's something you need to take care of, whatever, by any means. If it, like, say for instance, if it's like Adderall or something, that you need to take, or some other medication that because Adderall is banned in sports for sure. And so I would imagine if someone needs that for like ADHD or something like that, they're going to take it. Or I don't know. I can't imagine what it is. I'll be honest with you. Maybe my mind probably leads to maybe marijuana or something like that. I'm not sure. I don't know if it's legal in Philadelphia or not, but I just don't know the situation. But they're mum on it. The NBA's mum on it. They're not letting you know what it was yet. And for them to give him 25 games, that means it's something that they really frowned upon.
Yeah, so, what advantage could anything he took give him in basketball? Now, I can understand a case of certain positions, steroids. Hypothetically, if a guy who played in the low post, very, powerful guy, I don't want to give any names because I don't want to link them with it, even though they haven't been linked with it. So I don't want to give names as an example, who rebounds a lot. Rebounding is their thing. I can understand PEDs being a big help, but Paul George, the position he plays, his style of game, I can't see him taking anything that would have helped him unless it would have helped him heal quicker from whatever.
But see, that's the thing, Jack. He didn't mention anything for the sports. It was mentioned for mental health from Paul George's mouth. So it can't. I imagine it's not anything.
Right.
It's not PED. It's got to be something that okay. That's
not on the list.
Just some. it's on the list, but it's not.
Oh, it's on the
It's
list.
probably
Yeah.
it's on the list, but it's not. It's not something for PED, but it's probably something for more
Mhm.
recreational. So
Mhm.
I'm thinking it's leading probably maybe either marijuana or something. Like I said, Adderall or something.
Marijuana, he wouldn't get 25.
Yeah, he wouldn't get
Marijuana,
25
come
for
on, get out
marijuana.
there.
Mm-mm.
He'd get
He wouldn't
Yeah.
get
maybe things for that.
weed. No, he wouldn't get that. Maybe
I might
something
need-
that's close to marijuana, but not, like I said, that's on the list that he wasn't aware of.
Hmm.
I mean, that's the other thing too. I mean, don't these athletes in the NBA, NFL, any of the pro sports, don't they have, like, if they're taking a substance, shouldn't they read what the ingredients are?
That he alluded to it. Shaq put up his paper. He said there's a huge list that they should know. They should know. He know, and this is a guy been in the league for like over 13 years, so he knows. So I don't look if it's something for what do you call it, for, as he's mentioning, mental health. Maybe the lines of communication should have been open with the front office and the league, that this is what he needs, and maybe his doctor is telling him to take it. So it's hard to. That's what Shaq, not Shaq, but Chuck said. It's fishy. There's something fishy with it right now, and I don't know. I wouldn't have thrown the mental health thing in the mix. If I'm him, I'm just gonna stay mum until I can get this. He apologized to the league and to his team and everything like that, but yeah, and
Well, a bigger question, James. A bigger question. Do we have a right to know exactly what it is, the public? Because he was suspended 25 games. He did.
Yeah.
I mean, it's one thing if it's a deep personal issue. No, we don't have a right to know. We don't. But if he's banned for using a specific substance, we have maybe we have a right to know.
I'm going to agree with you on this, because
Mhm.
not only are the Philadelphia Eagles, they were riding the ship. You have Maxey, you have Embiid, and you have a gentleman. I mean, you have a guy by the name of Paul George, who's a veteran in the locker room, who's a great leader. I mean, that's what I understand. They all love him in there, and he's been a great leader. This is Nurse saying this. So obviously, this is a disappointment, and I just think that, yes, to answer your question, yes, I do agree that I think that everyone should know, because you're losing out on somebody that's going to play, 25 games towards playoffs. I mean, that's a big chance. There's a big chance that you're not fighting for top seeding in the Eastern Conference, because you lose a veteran like that. And he also lost money. He lost $11.7 million as well. So yeah,
Well,
it's a big deal.
I'm going to tell you, these guys who make career moves because they want to get a ring, a championship, sometimes it takes you all over the place and it's not working out. Just stay put, because we see what's going on with Giannis now, who's won a championship. But Paul George is with the Pacers. He kind of wants out. He gets restless. He goes to OKC thinking he can win with Russell Wilson, and no one's winning, with Russell Wilson, just with Russell Wilson alone, okay? And then he goes to the Clippers. He has, this Kawhi Leonard, Harden. It doesn't work out there. Now he's with the Sixers. He's not winning an NBA championship with the Sixers with Maxey and Embiid. But the ironic part about it, if he never left the Pacers to begin with, maybe they beat OKC if he's on that team that year all along. I mean, it's all hypothetical, of course, but you never know.
No, it's fair enough. You don't know, but this is the road travel for Paul George. I mean, where he's been. He's had his bag packed with several stamps from different locations, so you just have no idea where he's going to go next. It's probably open. He's got a passport ready to travel to some other. Maybe he'll play in the European League or something like that. Who knows? I really think you mentioned Giannis. That's another subject matter in regards to a player. I think Giannis will be a more marquee player than Paul George. He's going to make a difference to a team. I think a much more than Paul George would if he goes. Let's say, for instance, he goes to the Knicks. That's going to be a big deal for them. That'll be a pendulum swing that will go to the direction of. We're talking about coaching matters. That player matters. I mean, if he goes there, I'm giving them the Eastern Conference for sure to go to the championship without a doubt. He's taking his 28-10 there.
Paul George goes somewhere, you mean?
No, I'm talking about Giannis. Yeah.
Okay, because a little while ago I thought I heard you wrong by putting Paul George on a level with Giannis even.
No, I'm saying that's a bigger marquee player. I think there will be a pendulum swing.
Yeah.
Right, not even close.
Well, it's not. The question is what any team could afford to give up for Giannis. That's the big question.
And that leads up to the next thing. NBA's trade deadline is February the 5th. Some of the players that are involved in those trades is Giannis, Anthony Davis, Ja Morant, and Michael Porter Jr. And the big names in the trade unit. There was a trade yesterday. Cleveland, it ain't like it's the biggest trade in the world, but Cleveland traded DeAndre Hunter to Sacramento for Dennis Schroeder and Keon Ellis. Chicago was also involved in this trade. They acquired Kings forward Dion Sane. I can't even read my own writing. Sion. So I mean, that's already one trade out the way. Where do you picture like Giannis and these big name players going? Did you think they get moved at the trade deadline? From Giannis? Milwaukee's out there asking for what they would want for a trade and stuff like that for Giannis, but a lot of people think that might be done in the offseason instead of during the trade deadline. What do you think?
I don't think Giannis goes anywhere. That would be my prediction. And then Milwaukee will have a reset in the offseason. Any team trading for him, it would have to be a contender. It doesn't make sense otherwise. And what are you going to give up? A couple of good pieces? And then are you going to be any better? If you're the Knicks, for example, Jalen Brunson, I'm pretty sure would be off limits. What are you going to give up? You're going to give up Karl-Anthony Towns, Mikal Bridges, 3 number ones or whatever. Are you really going to be any better with Giannis, the chemistry as far as winning a championship this year? I can't say you would be. I just can't say. The one deal I hope's not made, guys, because I want to be vindicated. I wouldn't have traded Anthony Davis for Luka. I mean, I wouldn't have traded Luka if I was Dallas. Let me make that clear. The primary reason I wouldn't have made that deal is because Luka's 6 years younger than Anthony Davis. If Anthony Davis was age 26, that deal to me is practically a wash. That's how good I think Anthony Davis is, but he is injury prone. But I'd like to see Dallas hold on to Anthony Davis, and I'd like to see Kyrie come back and see what happens with their big three. If Davis could stay healthy, he's not healthy right now. Davis, Kyrie, Cooper Flag. They got Max Christie, a start on their team in that deal. And I think Dallas could make a run at it in the West. I might be crazy out of my mind. That's if their big three is all there healthy. But once they trade Anthony Davis, that officially makes the Luka deal one of the worst in NBA history. Once Anthony Davis is traded, but you never know with these things. James mentioned earlier, well, the GM who didn't draft Michael Jordan, they drafted Sam Bowie. Terrible move by the Portland GM. But
hindsight, yeah,
they got something out of it ultimately, because ultimately they traded Sam Bowie for Buck Williams, who turned out to be one of the better forwards in Trailblazer history, not in Jordan's class, don't get me wrong, but a heck of a player who took helped get Portland to the finals one year. So it's not like they didn't get anything out of the deal. They got kind of a bit of a weak consolation prize, put it that way.
Right. Go ahead, man.
No, go. No, I want your opinion on what do you think if Giannis gets traded or not.
Yeah, I think he may. I think that the Knicks are contenders, like you said, and another team that was in the mix for him, or that potential suitor that actually has strong interest, are the Miami Heat as well. So you know who's in the office down there, with a guy that can set up a team around a big marquee player like that, and Pat Riley. So I think Miami could be in the mix as well. And what you're giving up, it's not just a player, Jack. You're also, a lot of these guys are probably giving up future assets and future number ones as well for a player like that. So I can say 3 or 4 first round draft picks or more, possibly more in the future. And to trade out Giannis for Karl Anthony Towns, I think that's a no-brainer. And I hate using, like you said, I don't like using that term no-brainer, but I think Karl Anthony Towns, to me, I think his ceiling is peaked. Even with Giannis at where he's at his age, his ceiling is still higher than Karl Anthony Towns. It's just what he can do down there. He plays a lot better defense, and he also is a lot more dominant in the post. And Karl Anthony Towns, obviously, he takes his game out to the perimeter. And, you know, and as big as a guy as he is, you would think he'd be more dominant down in the post, and he's not that type of player. And to me, I would like I guess from a fantasy standpoint, the pairing of a Jalen Brunson and the Giannis Antetokounmpo. It seemed like it would be a better fit to me. Those guys have similar styles, and Jalen being a point guard, he can take over the game, or it would be Giannis taking over the game to me. And Giannis doesn't have to pull all that weight anymore, because he'll have players around him, unless they have to give like Obi, what's the kid's name?
Anunoby.
Yeah, they had to give up a player like him and Mikal Bridges and something like that. If you lose some pieces, or Josh Hart, if you lose some of those pieces, then it might be a little bit different. Now, the trade with Cleveland and Sacramento, that's pretty interesting. I heard Charles Barkley talk last night. I mentioned Charles Barkley's name a lot on the show today.
Shout out to Charles.
Yes, he wasn't happy with that trade, because they just traded for Hunter not too long ago, and now they're trading him away to a team that's not a contender. And I have to agree with Chuck. I just think that if you got a player on your team, you didn't really put any good extra work with what's the kid's name, Dennis Schroeder, and the other player that they traded for it. That's not really a good. I don't know what you're just adding, I guess, depth pieces on your team. But I don't know. Maybe there was something going on internally in Cleveland where he wasn't getting enough touches.
Well,
I'm not sure.
Trading Giannis is complex, because if we all sat down, we would have a hard time putting together a viable deal for Milwaukee and the team trading for him that would, help the team getting Giannis, put him over the top, yet be acceptable to Milwaukee, the pieces they would get back. It's very difficult, very, very difficult. Sometimes the best deals are the ones you don't make. The question is, would Giannis be content spending the rest of his career at Milwaukee? I mean, he's saying the right things. He's not going to force the deal, but you get the feeling Giannis doesn't mind a change of scenery at this point. You get that feeling.
Of course he doesn't. It's on Giannis, and this is where I laugh, because a lot of these players like Giannis and some other players threw shots at LeBron James for always traveling and going to different teams. But these guys, now they're understanding you're in a small market team. No one wants to come play in Milwaukee. Otherwise, it would have been Giannis saying, "Okay, I'm gonna stay here." And the type of player that Giannis is, most guys will probably want to come play with him, but not in Milwaukee. Nobody wants to go there. It's not a destination. It's not a New York. It's not a LA. It's not a Miami. No, or it's definitely a Cleveland. It's in that realm, and it's no one wants to go play there. It's just what it is. It's not even a Chicago, even though Chicago had been relevant since Derrick Rose. I would say that it's unfortunate that it's like that, and this begs to lead the question: is this an indictment as well on Doc Rivers and what he does with coaching? I mean, when Doc Rivers gets to a team and he gets a championship level team, he underperforms. performs and underutilizes that team. So, I mean, to me, as much as I like Doc Rivers, as a coach, I think I'm not going to put. I mean, like just to bring him this bring to this the discussion as to whether or not he's like an elite coach. I'm going to question and lean more to the side of saying no, just from the pattern, what I've seen. He's got a championship with Boston, but you look at anything else. I mean, there's the missed opportunities with the Clippers, missed opportunities here.
76ers.
Wow. And the 76ers, yes. It's just a lot of missed opportunities, man. And so I think he's a bit of an overrated coach in my book. This is in my opinion. And you got Giannis and what was there, the players you had the guy that tore his ACL that used to play in Portland.
Damian Lillard.
Damian Lillard, sorry, forgive me, I'm losing it here. Damian Lillard, they had opportunities with that group as well that bombed, and now Giannis wants out. Now he's saying he wants out. Is it, to me, is that part of it? Having Doc Rivers there, is that not having a good relationship?
Yeah. Other NBA news that was newsworthy this week too. The Nuggets get a blow. They lose Aaron Gordon for 4 to 6 weeks after aggravating a hamstring strain. And the Denver is in the thick of the Western Conference, playoffs. There, they're 33-16 right now. I think this is gonna affect Denver pretty much. Can they get over this? Can they get over Aaron Gordon for at least 4 to 6 weeks? Can they?
Yeah, they'll be in the playoff playing and have them back for when it counts. Yeah, I absolutely.
You think they'll maintain? They're going to
maintain. They'll be fine in the long run. Maybe the month and a half he's out, they'll have some issues, but they have enough of a cushion. I mean, if they.
Well, my question is, where are they ranked in the West? Where are they ranked in the West?
Second.
Yeah, they're probably going to drop down out of second. I mean, because Aaron Gordon, as much as we look at him as someone who was most notably known for being an all-star, not an all-star, but a dunk player. I mean, he was really good on that. He improved his game to where he became a key cog for them. He found a home here in Denver. And so I think that's really going to hurt them. And like you said, B, I think that's going to hurt them significantly because they don't have a Michael Porter Jr. anymore in that team to spell, and hit the threes. I mean, this guy can play both inside and out, and he plays actually really good defense as well. That's going to hurt them a lot, and it's going to put more pressure on the Joker to come up and be, and obviously he's a great player. So, but he's going to have a lot more on his plate, missing a play. Who do you replace him with? Who's there that you can replace an Aaron Gordon with?
Well, they're half game ahead of San Antonio. So I think I'll agree with James's prediction. They'll probably in the next 4 to 6 weeks not be able to hold on to that half game lead.
Well, I mean,
kidding you there. They could be a playing team. James, my point is if they're a playing team, if they fall into 7th, 8th place, the top 6 of playoff teams, then there's a little playing tournament, as you know. They'll be fine. They'll win that. By the end of the year, if they're healthy, Denver's a serious threat to come out of the West.
Yeah, get that. Just another key note in the NBA. Brooklyn Nets guard Igor Durman set an NBA record by making a three-pointer in his 34th straight game against the Utah Jazz. He breaks Rudy Fernandez and Landry Shamet's record of 33. It's a small record. It probably doesn't get announced, but in small regards. But that's, it's a record nevertheless for a rookie. He's getting better actually at every game with his 3 games. So that's something that's an achievement for him going forward. Other than that, one note on the major leagues. A's All-Star shortstop Jacob Wilson agreed to a 7-year contract extension with a club option for 2033 and is worth $70 million. I think that was a good job for the A's to keep him.
Yeah.
It was a really good job to keep
Well,
him.
most teams, that's an example for most teams, sign guys early, long before they get to free agency, if you believe in them. You have them on a long-term deal, but these teams wait until a player's maybe 2 years away from free agency, and then they maybe are going to be interested. And at that time, it's hit and miss whether the player's going to want to sign with them. And certainly once you let a player who's really good get a year and a half away from free agency, chances are you're going to lose them, or you're going to have to pay so much more money. It's a good move by the A's, being way ahead of the curve and taking that chance.
Yeah, at least they're doing something with their team. Can't say that for the Tigers, but anyway. On an NHL note, Patrick Kane passes Mike Modano for most points for a U.S.-born player in the NHL. And that's big news. Mike Modano, by the way, is from Michigan. So, that created waves around here. Considering Patrick Kane pays for the Red Wings now, and he did that during a losing cause for the game, but he did do that, and that's pretty significant. He's still behind. Mike Modano for goals. So,
well, he hasn't gotten a Stanley Cup yet, Kane. From what I understand.
I thought he got one with Chicago. I'm pretty sure he got one with Chicago, didn't he? Chicago had a Stanley Cup, and he got a ring from there. I'm pretty sure Patrick Kane got a ring for Chicago.
Right.
Yeah, let me check that out. And on and that's your NHL and your MLB news to a point right there. Going back to the NFL, or going to the NFL. Ravens have hired Declan Doyle as the OC. He was the Bears OC last year. I don't understand that move. Somebody make sense of that for me, please.
Guys are getting fired and rehired by other teams. And I mean, if they were that good to begin with, why would they let go?
I'm telling you right now, the pool is very thin and shallow for coaches, and if these guys are recycling and what's the word when a cow eats grass and he throws it back up and eats it again? Cud. That's kind of what this cycle of coaches is cud. That's what I'm calling it, because they're just eating up these guys and spitting them back out and eating them again and bringing them back in. It's not exciting, Jack. It's not an exciting season for coaching hires right now. It's boring. I don't know who's out there. I don't know
coordinator positions. I mean, I know with the Jets, there's a lot of complaining. What exactly is Aaron Glenn doing? He hires an offensive coordinator, then reportedly tells him after he hired him that he's not going to be a defensive coordinator. I'm sorry. Then after hiring him, telling him that he's not going to get to call plays, that Glenn decides he's going to do it. I mean, I don't know whether that's accurate, that you hear things reported like that, but it's kind of a little messy, certain of the hirings, and especially New York, which you think would be a high-profile place for coaches to want to go to, coordinators. Because look, you're living in New York. It's exciting. Big market. Okay, you're going to get noticed.
Living in New York, Jack, and playing on a crappy team are two different things.
Yeah.
No value. It's just like Buffalo. When your owner comes out there and shoots the organization in the foot, now nobody wants to come and coach for you because you know.
That's not true. Buffalo wasn't put to a test. They obviously wanted Joe Brady. They didn't open things up.
I mean, ultimately, yes, that's what they got. But I mean, they didn't make the process any better on getting a head coach out there, even if that Joe Brady was the first person they want. But I'm just saying, they basically eliminated themselves out of the high quality.
It's not like people were turning Buffalo down. You don't have any evidence on that. Don't say one press conference. This is Josh Allen there. Coaches would have jumped.
Well, there's an OC in LA that did that. So, what am I going to say?
Well, we can look at that from many different perspectives in regards to McDaniels and as to why he turned the job down. Maybe he turned it down because of the owner, and the situation looks dysfunctional, or maybe he turned it down as well because he knew he had no shot in getting a job because Joe Brady was already in the building, and he's probably the number one guy that's going to get the job. We can speculate and try to figure out what it may be. We'll probably never know, but ultimately, I think all of us on this panel right now can say we knew Joe Brady was going to get that job.
Well, I didn't know for sure. I thought Brian Daboll was maybe in the running.
No,
there.
No.
Come on. I knew better. I did that. I knew if Joe Brady's name was on the list, it's done as a wrap because he knows the system. He knows. I mean, I get it. Daboll developed the quarterback, but Daboll definitely, his situation with the Giants just tells me that no, I like the guy that's more innovative, the guy that was a passing game coordinator for LSU in their championship run. I'm going to try him first, and he's a little bit younger, so we're going to get. And then, who knows? Maybe the communication between the quarterback and the GM was like, okay, well, who would you rather have in here? I'm not saying these guys are they a lot of times they include their quarterbacks and get their and take their opinions to heart and saying that maybe I feel like I can work with him because this is who I have right now. I love his game plan. So I'm thinking maybe this is the guy I want to go with right now. So who knows if that even happened? I mean, I'm not saying it didn't. I'm not saying it did. But I to me, if I'm in the building, I'm the quarterback, and I have a little bit of power here, I'm probably going to go with the guy that I'm already working with. That where I'm not going to change things up because a guy, that maybe I'm sentimental to a guy that cultivated me when I first came into the league.
You can't have. Sometimes there's a feeling of entitlement, like Jim Schwartz is stepping away from being the defensive coordinator of the Browns. They hire someone else's coach. He thought he was in line, that he's thinking in terms he should get a promotion. What's he getting promoted for? If you have a losing organization, don't look that you're going to get promoted. It's not like you were successful and he was part of it. I know he's Brian's guy, Jim Schwartz, to an extent. But he shouldn't have had that feeling of entitlement. Also, you're hiring a new coach. Maybe he doesn't want Jim Schwartz there. Why are you forcing assistance on a new coach? And then you look at Tennessee. You just mentioned a while ago, we talked about Brian Daboll. He's joining Robert Saleh. He's going to be the offensive coordinator. And I think that's a fun twosome there. Yeah. Both guys, head coaches in New York. Hire. I think they're going to get along great. I really think there's going to be good coaching chemistry with the head coach and the coordinator. And maybe Cam Ward is going to turn out to be a great beneficiary of that.
Yes, of course. I could take the maybe out of that. I think, Jack, that's great. And I don't know how I even missed that, but the ball being teamed up with Cam Ward is going to be great for their offense. Now all they need is just some weapons there. That's it. Just need to add some because they have a really decent offensive line. They can use they got a decent running back there, a decent running game, but they can use some weapons on the exterior.
And we're going to be talking about that during the NFL draft. Do you pick the need to pick the best player? Because by the time Tennessee goes, they go in the first few picks. I forgot they go maybe something like number 4. I'm approximating. I'm very close. Do you make a need pick, get one of the good wide receivers, or if you get one of the outstanding defensive players there, let's say a Reuben Baines available, do you go for him?
You're going to go defense. I'm not going to say I don't know if there's any wide receiver on this panel. I mean, in this draft class that should go top 3. I think Tennessee probably gets defense.
We're about to go a little outside of that.
Well, where's Tennessee right now? Where are they? Are they 5? No, the Giants are 5. Where's Tennessee?
I think
are they 4?
4, yeah, 4.
Yeah, they're 4, I think. So
somewhere around there, yeah.
Carnell Tate, Jordan Tyson, not a guy I want to. I don't want any of those guys.
Do you take him over a Reuben Baines, for example? You take one of them because you need a receiver and you want to help Cam Ward.
Jeffrey Simmons is the best player on their defensive line. They could use another guy on the edge in the guy from Ohio State. Arvell Reese as
Well,
an edge.
he's probably going to the Jets at number 2. Reese would be
Possibly.
Yes,
You're right. Possibly.
as of this moment, yeah.
But Bailey out of Texas Tech,
He's
or
outstanding.
yes, or the kid we just mentioned, Baines, Ruben Baines out of Miami. Those are great selections that you can take and have a plug and play guy playing their rookie year. There's no way I'm taking a Carnell Tate or a Jordan Tyson in the first 4. It's just not. I mean, receivers are. I mean, like Keith. This is where Keith should be here right now. Keith would tell you, like, he'll give you the stats on the success of wide receivers at that high level, and it's not there. It's not. Most of those guys are bust at that level. So those guys are probably going to fall probably into the low single digits or early double digit.
Kansas City goes number 9, so that's going to be intriguing. They're going to get Patrick Mahomes a weapon, maybe Jeremiah Love, the running back.
If he falls there, yes.
He probably will be there.
Okay. And let me just, I do have to push back on the Cleveland thing there, Jack, because
I'm with you.
It's not the fact that Schwartz is my guy. Okay, Schwartz was the best. Nobody wants to come to Cleveland. I don't even know how they got the head coach that they got. Nobody wanted to come to Cleveland. Schwartz threw in his hat. He used to be a head coach. Let him make that. He'll be taking over a disenfranchised franchise, basically. And he was a good DC. I don't think a lot of problems with Cleveland had to do with the defense. I had to do most with the offense and upper management, basically. So let the guy come in there. I mean, what is he going to do? Cleveland's fallen so fast on their face in the first place. It's not too much more to fall. You know what I'm saying? So giving him the job would have benefited because he's familiar with Cleveland, with the offense and with the defense. So, why wouldn't you do that? It's kind of like the same thing with Joe Brady. Joe Brady was there. He was the next one to take that team to the head coaching position. So, you can say that all you want. Cleveland's just a mess in the first place. And, I don't think he was entitled. I just think that he was hurt by the fact that say, hey, I said I want to coach this team. I want to be the head coach of this team. Nobody else is saying that. So what's the problem here? And he felt hurt that they didn't even mention it. And I mean, I don't blame him. I mean, I kind of think take my ball home and hit with me is kind of over the top, but still, I mean, I understand where he's coming from in that whole situation. It is what it is.
Yeah, well,
Cleveland is going to be Cleveland.
As head coach. Problem with Cleveland is what Keith Engel says, and I usually disagree with. If you have more than one quarterback, you have no quarterbacks. You have 3 quarterbacks. Who should be quarterbacking? If you want to stay with Shedeur Sanders, you better be patient for a long season, and you better be ready to ride out his development. Maybe he is the guy. Maybe he is. I believe in him, but I only believe in him if you're willing to go through growing pains, meaning you're not winning next year with Shedeur Sanders as your quarterback. You're just not. I mean, you can win some games. I'm not saying you can't go 7-10 hypothetically, but you're not going to be a contender for a couple of years. And maybe he is going to be a really good quarterback down the road. But this is the modern NFL. Unless you get a number 1 overall draft choice like Cam Ward, teams aren't willing to ride out the development. Tennessee's going to do it with Cam Ward. That was their commitment from the start. But we saw what happened in Minnesota with J.J. McCarthy. You can't afford, if you're Minnesota, they're going to ride out McCarthy one more year. I mean, I don't know.
Well, that's a good thing.
What you're saying in regard
there, Jack, because that kind of leads into the next story, and I'll let you go in a minute, James. The Vikings did fire their GM, Kwesi Adolf-Mensah, which is probably a sign of relief of all the Viking fans, because I didn't see any positive things coming from Viking fans on social media about this guy. So that might help where this is going with JJ. So go ahead, James.
Well, I was just going to say, in regards to Cleveland and what Jack was saying, this is where a wide receiver probably would come into play, because I'm not I don't have any good faith in Jerry Jeudy. I think he's a streaky player. I think he plays when he wants to. I think he's not. He drops balls. He does whatever he wants to do. This is the guy that Steve Smith Jr. Senior called a jag, just a guy, and he got upset about it and he retracted a little bit on it. But he is just a guy to me. Now you take one of those receivers like Cornell Tate or Jordan Tyson, put him there. That gives him another weapon. And second, now soon to be second year player, and Fanning, the tight end, who had an outstanding rookie season. They're gonna do some things. It's just, and then shore up that offensive line. These are some of the things that can help benefit a second year quarterback or a rookie quarterback, to have some things around them. I mean, you're not going to always have a player that just elevates players like let's just say Tyler Shuck. He was able to elevate some players around him that weren't even like, they were coming off the streets in that last game against Atlanta. So it's just a matter of what you have around the player and what you're doing and what's your game plan for next season. But I think Shedeur is probably going to be their guy.
Yeah, I don't think Cleveland would have changed anything. I mean, I think Monken's going to make some changes, but I think that Schwartz, going back to that situation, I think he was going to be happy with what he had as far as Shedeur. And I've never heard him complain about Shedeur. I've never heard him say anything bad about the guy. And he is a defensive minded coach, let me tell you. But the point of the matter is, if he's going to let things fly, that was even more of a reason for Cleveland to hire him, because, that's the owner's pick, and the owner wants him to play. So Jim wouldn't have had no problem with that, I don't think. He's pretty happy-go-lucky when it comes to whatever the offense is. He would have hired an offensive coordinator, probably would have been Monken. You never know. It depends. The whole situation is messed up. But as far as Minnesota is concerned, at least they have that shroud of the GM. But I can tell you, Viking fans are probably just rejoicing right now. They're probably partying.
And I'm going to tell you, I was a little surprised that Justin Jefferson went public recently, feeling that the Vikings should have held on to Sam Darnold, that he thinks they may have gotten to the Super Bowl with Darnold, to talk that way. That came out of nowhere, because he was very encouraging and supportive to J.J. McCarthy during the season. But listen, the Vikings were committed to J.J. McCarthy. I didn't like it when they drafted him out of college. I didn't think he was the type of guy they should commit to. But once you make a commitment to a guy, you got to give the guy a chance at that point, to either succeed or fail.
Yeah, I didn't like.
But it's an indictment. It's an indictment if the receiver is saying what he's saying. He's in the building, so he knows what's up. That's a terrible indictment of that pick, and the GM getting fired ultimately is another indictment of that player.
Well, he was just saying what everybody else was thinking, outside of the building. The Sam Darnold situation was bad for the franchise in general. I never understood the reason why they didn't keep him at least for a year. You can always negotiate with players and their agents. I just don't. I don't think they even made an effort to do so. I think they had their mindset of JJ.
Guys, the last 2 games he was dreadful. Let's be honest about it.
Fair enough. But you can't erase the other 14 games. 15 games. He was great.
Yeah, Rich is our Viking fan. Yeah.
Yes.
But on that note, that shall conclude this week's weekend show. We will see you next weekend at 8 a.m. Hopefully Keith will be with us. And everybody, have a great rest of your day.